Top story for months now. Times Now has been following the trail of nepotism within the DGCA, and finally just a few hours earlier, RS Passi, the second senior most officer at the Directorate of Air Safety, has been removed from his position. This after SpiceJet wrote to DGCA exposing how Passi's daughter Garima had secured a job only after his intervention. Now it's a Times Now impact. And Kashif joining us live for more details. He's been tracking that story. Kashif, it's an expose done by Times Now, and finally DGCA acting against the tainted officer.
That's a very pertinent question. In fact, that's what everybody is asking. At least 8 more officers of the DGCA are responsible for having the children in airlines, and these top DGCA officers have been also issued show cause notices. In fact, what we learn from our sources inside the DGCA is that Garima Passi's father, Rajinder Passi, was the main person responsible for nepotism inside the DGCA.
So, Kashif, just give our viewers a recap of what happened in the case of Garima Passi and how Times Now proved the nepotism inside the DGCA.
Let me tell you the case of Garima Passi. Garima Passi was a cadet pilot with SpiceJet, and she was hired for a training in Sabina Training Academy in the US, where her training was not up to the standards. She in fact had 2 accidents, one damaging the nose wheel of the aircraft, and the second in fact was when the wing of the aircraft got damaged. Subsequently, SpiceJet said that the trainer said that she could not continue her training, and it was terminated. She came back to India. She got her license from a training school in Uttarakhand, and after that she immediately joined SpiceJet again, ostensibly because her father was in a position of power in the DGCA. Remember, the DGCA is responsible to regulate all the airlines and the aviation in our country. That point, the conflict of interest clearly proven.
That's right, Kashif. Many thanks for joining us. Times Now has been following the trail of nepotism within the DGCA, and finally, a few hours earlier, action has been taken. RS Passi, the second senior most officer at the Directorate of Air Safety, has been removed from his position. This after SpiceJet wrote to DGCA exposing how his daughter Garima had secured a job only after his intervention. Times Now had also proved how Passi had influenced SpiceJet to ensure that his daughter remained as a pilot in spite of failing her flying test. Let's listen in to aviation experts who also commended the latest move.
See, what has happened is that now they have been able to identify people who have been who are responsible for issuing licenses without the proper authority, and the danger of what they have done so important, because this is not just a case of corruption, it's a case of risking the passengers' lives. So now it's time that the government started taking action against people, and if Passi has been sacked, it's a very important action taken by the government, which is now convincing everybody that now you can't get away with it, and people will be taking action.
And Madhav joining us from New Delhi. He's been tracking that story. Madhav, it's a big breakthrough in the fake pilot scam. The question is, what about the others? There are many DGCA officials. We know that some of them have been named in an FIR filed by the Delhi police a few days earlier. The question is, what about them?
Well, there are several cases as such related to this, all of them of course different in nature. As far as the fake pilot scam is concerned, over a dozen cases of that having been reported, of those who tried to collude with various touts and other officials to form fake mark sheets, with which in fact they went ahead and applied for the CPL licenses. That of course is something that the Delhi police is taking action on. In fact, the scanning of various licenses of all CPL and ATPL holders is on as far as the DGCA is concerned. and that is something that is expected to be completed shortly. But on the other hand, this today's development is related to the other important aspect, which is corruption and nepotism within the DGCA, the building right behind me outside which I'm standing. In fact, in this in the DGCA itself, which is supposed to be the regulator for the aviation sector, several officers whose children, in fact, and other close relatives have been working with various airlines. Now, what the DGCA is going to be looking at very closely is why several of these officials have not informed the government or the DGCA about this fact that a very close relative of theirs is working with a particular airline, and whether that is not going to be tantamount to conflict of interest, because the DGCA officials themselves are very closely involved with certifying airlines on various parameters, including safety and other certifications for these various airlines itself. So really the big question about why several officials have not informed the government about their relatives working, and the DGCA themselves in fact looking for answers, has asked for replies from these officials, from airlines, and hopes to take action on the lines of what it has taken as far as RK Passi is concerned on several other officials as well.